What is time?
Time.
We have basically like two spectrums of time. The first one, it's the man-made one, in which we just define like seconds, minutes, hours, years, and all these things that are totally like relative and kind of literally man-made. Like,
But I actually like it. Like, I would hate to live in a world without time. Like, or like, even like, you know, like society needs time. We need some kind of like structure and rules. So I think it's just built for us to make everything a bit more easier. And then again, it might be just to control us, but yeah.
there's nothing in the nature that says like, this unity here, it's 1 second. We just came up with this metric. That concept of time, the first spectrum, is simple to explain, simple to understand, and easy to accept. Nobody's gonna question that, especially because it's the essence of all the metrics in our life. So that one is really fine.
Time isn't made up. Because like we see when it's morning, we see when it's day, we see when it's evening. But we kind of make the concept that time is what we run on.
The second one, it's more interesting and more complex. There's like time as a metric from the nature. So if we think like about wild nature, they don't have time, they don't have clocks, they are not running by the clock. They're not living their life or their existence by the clock. But at the same time, you have the cycle of life, like Lion King style. You have like that tiny lion, you have Simba there just as a tiny baby, and Simba it's like becoming the king again, and you have that straight line, that linear form.
We live in a society where it is like where everybody believes that it starts from here and ends here, but I don't believe it is. Like, I feel like, I don't remember who said it the first, some bald guy back in the days maybe, but I believe it goes in circle. Who was it? Time and what it is so hard to explain, because I don't even think that we're kind of like going from this point to this point in life, because there's like what the hell happening in between. There's so many like things like déjà vus, like rights over the linear theory. It's like I had this one friend when I was younger. She told me that she had woken up in the morning, was on a computer, and her mom was screaming to take the laundry down. And they had these stairs between the first floor and the second floor that you could just kind of like, as a teenager, just kick the clothing from the lines of the holes from the stairs. And she took the laundry, took it to the stairs and just kicked it down and was like, I'm done, I'm going back to the computer. And 10 minutes later, her mom is screaming again for the clothes, because the laundry day is on. And she's like, what the? I just took them down, what's wrong with you? And she looks behind her and the same laundry is behind her. And she swears to God that she was awake. She was sober because she was like a child. And she had no idea what happened. And that kind of stuff have happened to me and many other people too. Maybe not that physical, but we have flashbacks of something that haven't happened yet. So how is it that it haven't happened yet and you're having a deja vu or something like that? But I believe it's kind of like we have like different time like circles where like this is present and this was maybe past, and like it kind of just grows and expands, maybe something like that. Because sometimes like I feel like I've lived some moment before and I don't know how to explain it. So yeah, deja vu. So like that I feel like that's an interesting like way of seeing it. And yes, I did call myself interesting, but like I feel like it's kind of like fun, and yeah, I feel like it makes more sense than just like being like this. And just yeah, time is crazy because like you can't have anything that has been always, because then there would be no time. So everything has a starting point and an end point.
Is infinity endless period of time or no time at all? I think no time at all. We will be called upon infinity when we lack the need of time.
So that means we have time. But if something has been always, then there is no time existing on that thing. And if time doesn't exist on one thing, why does it exist on multiple other things, like our lives or our free will that we supposedly have?
Oh, my favorite scene in Interstellar. It's all about relativity, which is science from Einstein.
But time is this funny thing. Time is totally relative to the period of life that you are living. Like when you are a kid and you are alone at home, you think like, oh my god, the day is not passing, and you are just like full of things around, you are just like full of free time, and you are bored as hell, thinking like, oh my god, this is so boring, I want this day to end. Or like, you know that on the Saturday you are going to Disneyland with your parents, and it's still Tuesday, and oh my god, it's gonna take like 10 years for these days to pass. But when you get older, your whole concept of life just changed. So that same kid that was complaining about lack of time, excess of time, will be complaining about lack of time at 30. And at 60, that concept is gonna change again. And this whole notion of like how time is relative, it's really curious for me.
It certainly has different effects in the mood than it does on here on Earth.
There is this Brazilian philosopher and teacher that he usually mentioned in his lectures that young people look at old people walking on the street and they think that they're walking really slow just because they are old and their bodies are just like tired. But according to him, old people, they don't have any need to be in a rush because they know where they're going. So you have like all these hypotheses, all these things that are gonna happen, and you are so used to it, you understand it so much with the time that you live it, that you know that rush, that feeling of like, I need to do this right away, it reduces. So you start as a kid being bored and with this mentality that time is not passing. Then you jump into this rush cycle in which, Jesus, time is passing really fast. And then you just calm yourself down a little bit and like assume another perspective. There's a Russian writer that he used to say that I don't have like a proper English version for that, not even a Portuguese version for that, but it would be something like, the more I sleep, the less surprises I have in my life. What he's basically saying is that time is passing, you are like observing and absorbing more things with time, and your whole notion of time is gonna change because of that. And that's the lovely part about time. Like when we say time is relative, yeah, it's relative, everybody knows that, and it's quite stupid to say it. But when you analyze like this sentence through these lenses, it's really cool. Like every year, depending on what you are doing with your life, depending on what kind of things you are running around, your notion of time will change. But at the same time, if we go back to the first spectrum and think about the man-made one, it's still the same metric. The minute, it's still like a 60 seconds measurement for that little kid, for me, for the old dude. That's lovely.
I have no idea what time is. no idea. I just know it limits me, and it sometimes goes fast, sometimes it's just like deadly slow. So I have no idea what time means. This is what I've been telling you. I have no idea. Time is crazy.